Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you found this space. In this series, we dive right into the right of disposition, making sure your voice is heard, even when you're no longer here to speak. In this episode, we're focusing on New Mexico. We're going to break down who controls your remains, what you can do ahead of time, and what happens if you don't leave instructions. In New Mexico, you have real power. You can leave written instructions or appoint someone to carry out your final wishes, whether it's burial, cremation, or another method. According to the rules, if you leave written instructions about your remains, those instructions take precedence. So decide now. Don't leave it to chance. If you don't leave your instructions, New Mexico law gives a clear order of who gets to make the decisions. First, your surviving spouse. Next, a majority of your adult children. Then, your surviving parents or parents. Then, a majority of your adult siblings. Then, an adult who showed you special care and concern, knows your wishes, and is willing and able. Lastly, the next degree of kin under New Mexico succession law. So, if you haven't done your part, your remains may be handled by someone you didn't choose. One of the most asked questions is, how long does someone have to act? In New Mexico, the law does not appear to set a strict, universal, you've got X amount of days rules for a family member to claim the body in every case. However, for unclaimed descendants, the statute states that once a certificate of unclaimed has been issued, the body must be buried or cremated no longer than 30 days after determination. Also, for cremated remains, the regulations require that if no instruction is given for their return, the crematory must return the remains or arrange for disposition no later than 30 days after the date of cremation. If you or your agent don't act in New Mexico, the clock may be already ticking, especially if the remains go unclaimed. That means planning ahead is non-negotiable. All right, let's get real. Maybe you're separated from your family. Maybe you chose to go no contact. That boundary matters and it's valid, but legally in New Mexico, unless you've formally documented your wishes and picked your person, the default hierarchy still applies. If you don't want someone in your family making decisions, you must act proactively. Leave clear instructions. Appoint someone you trust. Make your wishes known now. Now let's dive into another critical topic. If you go by a chosen name or live with a name or identity that may not be legally changed, how is that treated? In New Mexico, the statutes don't explicitly guarantee recognition of a chosen name, which is a name that's not legally changed. That means you must document it clearly. If you want your preferred name or identity honored on memorials, programs, remains containers, or in disposition, you must say it in your directive or agent appointment. Protection comes from your words. Here are your quick takeaway points that you can highlight. You have the power to pick your decision maker and leave instructions ahead of time. If you don't, the law uses a default order. Spouse, kids' parents, siblings, someone who cared, and then next of kin. There is no universal, you've got this amount of days rule in every scenario, but the state does specify 30 days for unclaimed descendants after a certain determination. If you're estranged from family, that doesn't remove them from the order. You must act and document your choice. Your identity and name matter. If you live authentically and want to be honored, your paperwork must say it. As always, I want to thank you for watching. I hope this helped you demystify how New Mexico handles final disposition and helped you see why timing and documentation, truly matters. If this was helpful, share it with your family, your friends, especially those connected to New Mexico. A lot of people don't know that they can appoint someone or that someone else might act if they don't. Also, make sure to check out the rest of my Right of Disposition state by state series because every state is different. Make sure you like, comment, or leave your questions or share your story. Let me know, have you already picked your person? Or is this the first time you're realizing how important it is? Subscribe for more conversations about life and legacy. I'm Bella, but this is your life, your legacy, and your choice, even after you're gone.